Imagine trusting someone with your whole life, your money, your secrets, even your family. You think you know them. Then one day, you find a single text message, a name you don't recognize, a lie so small you almost ignore it. But that's how it starts. That's how Sarah's marriage turned into a nightmare. That's how David lost everything. And that's exactly what happened to Naomi. Except her husband's lie wasn't just a text. It was a plan years in the making. And by the time she figured it out, it was almost too late. Naomi Parker had everything: a penthouse in Manhattan, a last name that opened doors, and a prenup so ironclad her lawyers called it bulletproof. Then she met Jake Lawson, charming, ambitious, the kind of guy who remembered her coffee order on the first date. 6 months later, they were married. The prenup was signed, and for a while, life was perfect. Then the transfers started, small at first. $5,000 for his sister's medical bills, $10,000 for a family emergency. Naomi didn't question it, not until the day her accountant called. "You authorized $2 million last week," he said. "For what?" Naomi checked the records. The payments went to an offshore account. The description read, "cancer treatment." But Jake's sister wasn't sick. In fact, Jake didn't even have a sister. Naomi confronted him that night. He laughed, told her she was being paranoid. Then he left, took his phone, his keys, and a duffel bag she'd never seen before. The next morning, the bank called. Every account under Jake's name was empty, and that's when Naomi knew this wasn't a mistake. It was a plan, and she was just the first step. She hired a private investigator, gave him one instruction: find out who Jake really is. What came back wasn't just a lie. It was a life built on fake documents, stolen identities, and a trail of women just like her. But the worst part? Jake wasn't working alone, and the people helping him, they were already inside her home. 3 months before the money disappeared, Naomi sat across from her father in his office on the 80th floor of Parker Tower. Richard Parker didn't ask questions. He gave instructions. "The prenup gets signed before the wedding," he said, sliding a 50-page document across the desk. "No exceptions," Naomi argued. Said Jake wasn't like that. Her father just smiled. "Then he won't mind signing." That night, Jake took Naomi to the rooftop of their building. The city lights stretched for miles. He got down on one knee, pulled out a ring, and a pen. "I'd sign anything to be with you," he said. Then he flipped to the last page of the prenup and wrote his name without reading a single word. Naomi thought it was romantic. She didn't notice how fast he turned the pages, or that his hands never shook. The wedding happened 6 weeks later. 500 guests, a dress that cost more than most houses. Jake gave a speech about love conquering all. The next morning, he left before Naomi woke up. Said he had an early meeting. She found the receipt later. A $3,000 bracelet from Tiffany's, bought that same day. The name on the receipt wasn't hers. It was Emily, her personal assistant. When Naomi asked Jake about it, he shrugged. "Must have mixed up the names," he said. "You know how bad I am with dates." Naomi almost believed him. Then she checked their calendar. That Tuesday wasn't just any day. It was their 6-month anniversary. And Jake had never forgotten a date in his life. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m. Jake sat straight up in bed, his voice tight. "It's my sister," he told Naomi. "The doctors found something." The next morning, he showed her hospital bills from Memorial Sloan Kettering. Stage 3 lymphoma. Treatment cost $197,000. "I wouldn't ask if it wasn't life or death," Jake said. Naomi didn't hesitate. She wired the money that afternoon. 2 weeks later, her accountant flagged the transaction. "This doesn't add up," he said. The payment went to a bank in the Cayman Islands, not a hospital. Naomi checked the paperwork Jake gave her. The letterhead looked right. The doctor's signature matched online records. But when she called the hospital, they'd never heard of Jessica Lawson. No patient by that name, no record of treatment. That night, Naomi waited until Jake fell asleep. She went through his phone. The recent calls showed nothing unusual. Then she checked his email. A draft message caught her eye. No recipient, just 2 lines. Payment received. Tell the team to stand by for phase 2. The timestamp was 9:03 a.m., 3 minutes after she'd approved the transfer. The next morning, Naomi called a private investigator. She gave him one instruction: find Jessica Lawson. What he discovered would change everything, because Jake's sister didn't exist, but the woman using her name, she was very real, and she'd done this before. The private investigator's report landed in Naomi's inbox at 3:17 p.m. on a Tuesday. 42 pages of bank statements, flight records, and background checks. Page 6 stopped her cold. The social security number Jake provided for his sister belonged to a 72-year-old man from Florida who died in 2014. The hospital letterhead? A perfect copy, too perfect. Real hospital documents have slight imperfections. These were flawless. That evening, Naomi placed the documents on the kitchen counter. Jake stared at them while pouring a drink. Ice clinked against glass. "You hired a PI?" he asked. His voice stayed calm. Too calm. "This is what happens when you marry into money," he said. "You get paranoid." He finished his drink in one swallow and grabbed his keys. "I can't be around this crazy energy tonight." The front door slammed so hard, a picture frame fell off the wall. Naomi stood frozen in the sudden quiet. Then Jake's phone buzzed on the counter. He'd left it behind. The screen lit up with a text. "Is the bitch buying it?" The sender's name, Melissa. Naomi scrolled up. 2 weeks of messages, meeting times, dollar amounts, a photo of their bedroom. The last message made her hands shake. "Remember, we need her to initiate the transfer herself. That's when it becomes legal." Down the street, Jake climbed into a black SUV. The driver turned, a woman with dark hair. She handed Jake a new phone. "How much longer?" she asked. Jake checked his watch. "1 more week, 2 at most." The SUV pulled away just as Naomi's call to the PI went through. "I need everything you have on someone named Melissa," she said, "and I need it by morning." Naomi's lawyer made 3 phone calls. By noon, every account in Jake's name was frozen. Credit cards declined. ATM withdrawals denied. The alerts started hitting his phone just as he walked back through the front door, flowers in hand. "Baby, please," he said, dropping to his knees. "Let me explain." Naomi didn't answer. The doorbell rang. A woman stood on the porch holding a child's hand, late 20s, blonde hair pulled tight into a ponytail. "You must be Naomi," she said. The little boy looked up at Jake and smiled. "Daddy?" The word hung in the air. Jake's face went white. "Melissa," he whispered, "what the hell are you doing here?" Naomi demanded answers. Melissa handed her a birth certificate. Father's name, Jacob Daniel Lawson. The date was 3 years before Naomi met Jake, but when Naomi examined it closer, she spotted the problem. The document number didn't match state records, and the doctor listed had retired a decade earlier. "This is fake," Naomi said. Melissa's smile faltered. "Like your marriage?" she shot back. Jake tried to intervene. Melissa cut him off. "Save it," she said. "We both know how this ends." Then she turned to Naomi. "4th time's the charm, right, Jake?" The slip happened so fast Melissa didn't seem to notice, but Naomi did. 4th time, meaning 3 others came before her. Jake reached for Naomi's arm. She stepped back just as her phone buzzed. The PI was texting, "Check your email. You need to see this now." Upstairs in her office, Naomi opened the attachment. A spreadsheet with dates, locations, and dollar amounts. 4 columns, 4 women. Her name was at the top of the newest list. The previous 3 had addresses crossed out in red, and 1 word written beside each: completed. The last entry showed a bank transfer dated tomorrow. The amount, $2.3 million. The recipient, an LLC called Lawson Family Trust. Downstairs, Jake's voice rose. "You weren't supposed to come here yet." Melissa's reply was ice cold. "Plans change. She's smarter than the others." A car door slammed outside. Naomi looked out the window just in time to see a black van parking across the street. No plates, tinted windows. The driver's door opened. A man in sunglasses stepped out, adjusting something under his jacket. Naomi pressed send at exactly 9:15 a.m. The email went to every major financial reporter in New York. Attached, bank records, forged documents, and the spreadsheet with 4 women's names. By lunchtime, CNBC ran the headline, "Parker Heiress Exposes $1 Million Marriage Scam." Jake's face was everywhere. His real name wasn't even Jake Lawson, it was Daniel Carter, with 2 prior fraud convictions in Texas. Naomi watched the news coverage from her father's office. Richard Parker didn't say, "I told you so." He just handed her a check for the private investigator's bonus. "It's over," Naomi said. But as she left the building, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. 1 sentence. "You shouldn't have done that." Across the street, a man in a baseball cap leaned against a parked car. He was staring right at her. That night, Naomi's security system logged 3 attempts to access the garage. The motion sensors, triggered at 2:17 a.m., capturing a shadow moving past the kitchen windows. The police found nothing. But when Naomi checked the cameras, she recognized the build, the walk. It was the same man from outside her father's office. Melissa had called him brother during their confrontation. Only they weren't related. Police records showed they'd been arrested together in Nevada for con jobs targeting wealthy divorcees. 2 days later, Naomi thought she'd lost them. She took a different route home, checking her mirrors constantly. The traffic light turned yellow as she approached an intersection. She sped up. Then headlights appeared in her blind spot. A black sedan ran the red light, swerving straight for her driver's side door. Naomi jerked the wheel. Tires screeched. Glass shattered. When the airbags deflated, she looked up to see the sedan reversing for another hit. Then suddenly it sped away. A witness had pulled over, dialing 911. The police report called it an accident. No plates, no suspects. But when Naomi's mechanic examined the damage, he found something wedged in the bumper, a business card for a law firm. On the back, handwritten, "Should have stuck to the prenup." The firm's name matched the LLC from Jake's spreadsheet, and when Naomi searched the address, Google showed an empty lot in Newark. No building, no law offices, just an empty space where someone wanted her to look. The private investigator's new report landed with a thud on Naomi's desk. 53 pages detailing a pattern that made her blood run cold. Jake's operation had a playbook. First, they'd identify wealthy women through charity events and high-end gyms. Then came the whirlwind romance, the fake emergencies, always the same story: sick relatives, medical bills, last-minute business trips, 3 previous victims, all divorced, all humiliated. 2 had attempted suicide. Naomi studied the most disturbing pattern. Each woman received ultrasound photos around month 6 of the relationship. Fake pregnancies, fake complications. Then came the demands, money wired to offshore accounts to save the baby. The amounts matched exactly what each woman could liquidate quickly. Not enough to bankrupt them, just enough to hurt. The PI highlighted one line in his summary: "This isn't about money, it's about punishment." That afternoon, Naomi called Jake from a burner phone. Her voice shook just enough to sound broken. "I made a mistake," she told him. "I want to talk." Jake kept her waiting 3 days before responding. When he finally showed up at her penthouse, he brought flowers and a new watch, the same model he'd worn before she froze his accounts. "I can explain everything," he said. Naomi let him hug her. She didn't flinch when he kissed her forehead. She just pressed record on the device, hidden in her bracelet. Over the next 2 weeks, Naomi played her part perfectly. She apologized to Jake's sister, Melissa. She even offered to reinstate some of Jake's credit lines. Every meeting, every dinner, Every late-night confession was documented. The PI had teams following Jake whenever he left her site. They caught him meeting with the fake doctor who signed the hospital forms. They photographed him handing envelopes to the man who'd tried to run her off the road. The evidence stacked up in real time. Then came the breakthrough. One of Jake's burner phones pinged near a storage facility in Jersey City. The PI's team got inside. What they found wasn't just evidence, it was an operation. Fake hospital gowns, forged medical documents, a closet full of wigs and prosthetics, and one item that changed everything, a ledger with 12 more names. Women Jake hadn't targeted yet, women whose profiles matched Naomi's exactly. The last page had a single entry dated for next month. Final payment due, package ready for delivery. Naomi sat in her car outside the storage facility, watching the surveillance feed from inside. Jake arrived at 9:47 p.m. He didn't look worried. He looked like a man following a schedule. When he opened the safe bolted to the floor, Naomi expected more documents. What he pulled out made her grip the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. A gun, 3 passports, and a vial of clear liquid with a medical label she recognized from her father's pharmaceutical company. Something that could stop a heart without leaving traces. The power went out at 11:23 p.m. Naomi knew before the lights died. She'd been watching the security feed from her bedroom. 3 figures moving through the garden. One carried something heavy. Another had a flashlight. The third was small, holding someone's hand. The cameras cut to static, just as the first window alarm triggered. Naomi reached for the panic button under her nightstand. Too late. The bedroom door burst open. Melissa stood in the doorway, gun raised. Behind her, Jake held the boy, the same child who'd called him daddy weeks before. Only now the kid looked bored, chewing gum, staring at his phone. $5 million, Melissa said. Transferred now, or we make this look like a burglary gone wrong. Naomi pretended to cry. She let her hands shake as she opened the laptop. All part of the act. The PI had warned her this might happen. The security system wasn't really down, just rerouted. Every camera still rolling, every microphone live. As Naomi typed fake passwords, she watched Jake in the reflection. He kept checking his watch, impatient, nervous, not like the smooth operator who'd charmed her at that charity gala. The boy, Timmy according to his Instagram, which the PI had found, started whining about being tired. Melissa snapped at him to shut up. That's when Naomi saw it, the way Jake looked at the kid. Not like a father, like a co-worker who'd screwed up a simple job. You said he was good at this, Jake muttered. Melissa's grip on the gun tightened. He's 9. What do you want? Naomi hit enter on the keyboard. A fake error message popped up. It needs my father's approval for transfers this big, she lied. I have to call him. Melissa laughed. Nice try. Then the boy's phone rang, loud. Some viral rap song blasting through the room. In that second of distraction, Naomi lunged. Her knee hit the silent alarm under the desk. Sirens wailed outside immediately. NYPD's Rich People Response Time. Melissa swung the gun toward the window. Jake grabbed the boy and ran. Naomi dove for the fireplace poker. The front door crashed open, shouting, flashlights. Melissa hesitated just long enough. The gun went off as the first officers reached the bedroom. The bullet shattered the mirror behind Naomi. Then, 3 cops tackled Melissa to the ground. Outside, Jake shoved the kid into a waiting car. The boy was crying now, screaming that he wanted his mom. Jake didn't care. He peeled out just as more cops rounded the corner. But he forgot one thing. Naomi had put trackers in all his favorite watches, including the one he'd gifted himself with her money. As the police helped Naomi up, her phone buzzed. A map appeared, a blinking red dot moving uptown, headed straight for the storage locker with the gun, the passports, and whatever was in that vial. The police processed Melissa first. She gave them nothing, just demanded a lawyer and stared at the wall. Jake was smarter. He played the confused husband, claiming Naomi had set him up. The detectives didn't buy it, but it bought him time. Enough time for his one phone call. Enough time for whoever was on the other end to act. They transferred Jake to a holding cell at 4:30 a.m. By 5:15, the guard doing rounds found the door open. No broken locks, no alarms, just an empty cell and a half-eaten sandwich. The security cameras glitched at exactly 5:07, 7 minutes of static. When the footage came back, Jake was gone. So was the arresting officer's keycard. Naomi got the news with her morning coffee. The detective sounded exhausted. "We'll find him," he promised. Naomi didn't answer. She was staring at her phone. A new message from an unknown number. No greeting, just an address and 5 words. "He's targeting your sister next." The address matched Rachel's apartment in Chicago. The timestamp showed 4:58 a.m., 17 minutes before Jake escaped. Naomi called Rachel 6 times, straight to voicemail. She tried the doorman at Rachel's building. "Ms. Parker left early," he said, "with a gentleman." Naomi demanded a description. Tall, dark hair, nice smile. Rachel had seemed happy to see him. That's when Naomi's hands started shaking, because Jake was in custody when Rachel left, which meant someone else was using his playbook. The PI pulled every contact he had. Chicago PD sent a unit to the apartment. Empty. Rachel's phone last pinged near O'Hare. No flight records under her name, no credit card charges. Just a single Uber receipt to Terminal 5. The driver remembered her, said she was arguing with someone on the phone, said she kept repeating one phrase, "This isn't what we agreed." Naomi's father offered his private jet. The FBI got involved, but as they scrambled, one detail got overlooked. A man in a baseball cap and glasses boarded Emirates Flight 223 to Dubai at 11:03 a.m. The passport name didn't match anyone on any watch list. The face matched Jake's exactly, just with darker hair and a fake beard. He didn't look back as he walked down the jet bridge, but he did check his phone one last time. The screen showed a text, "Package secured. The sender's contact. Plan B." Somewhere over the Atlantic, Jake ordered a whiskey. He scrolled through photos on his burner phone, pictures of Rachel Parker at a charity event 2 months earlier. The same event where he'd first met Naomi. The same event where he'd identified both sisters as potential marks. The flight attendant asked if he needed anything else. Jake smiled. "Just some peace and quiet," he said. Then he opened a new browser tab and searched for Dubai real estate listings. The first one he clicked, a penthouse with a view of the marina. The price, $5.2 million. The exact amount he'd tried to extort from Naomi. Rachel Parker resurfaced 14 days later at a gas station in rural Montana. She had no memory of how she got there, no wallet, no phone, just a hotel keycard in her pocket for a place she'd never heard of. The security footage showed a woman matching her description getting out of a black SUV, alone. The license plates weren't visible. The driver never stepped out. Naomi flew to Montana immediately. The sisters reunited in a small hospital room. Rachel kept repeating one thing. "He said you'd come." When Naomi asked who, Rachel just shook her head. "The man with Jake's voice." The doctors called it trauma-induced confusion. The FBI called it a dead end. Naomi knew better. This wasn't over. The storage locker had held 3 passports after all. Jake only needed one to escape. Back in New York, the pieces came together slowly. Melissa flipped on Jake for a reduced sentence. The operation had been running for 6 years. 12 confirmed victims across 4 states. Always the same pattern: identify, romance, exploit. But the most chilling detail? Jake never kept the money. It all funneled to an offshore account no one could trace. This was never about getting rich. It was about proving he could. Naomi's father had the penthouse completely renovated. New security, new staff, new rules. The prenup stayed framed in his office. A warning to anyone who asked. Naomi kept one souvenir, the tracker that had led police to Jake's storage locker. She had it mounted in a glass case, a reminder, not all traps are obvious. Some come with flowers and promises. As for Jake, Interpol found the Dubai penthouse empty, just a half-packed suitcase and a single photo left on the kitchen counter. A picture of Naomi on their wedding day. On the back, one word written in Jake's handwriting, practice. This was the prenup betrayal. But it's not the last story like this. Next time, we examine the case of a woman who discovered her husband's business trips weren't for work. The receipts showed flights to Paris. The credit card charges told a different story, because when she checked the security footage from their home, she saw something impossible. Her husband never left. So who was using his tickets? And why did all the charges match places from her childhood? That story drops this week. Don't watch it alone. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video.